Ronald Reagan was born on February 6, 1911, in Tampico, Illinois. His nickname was Dutch because he was said to have resembled a fat little Dutchman. His family later moved to Dixon, Illinois in 1920. He graduated from high school here in 1928. During his high school years, he was an athlete, student body president, as well as a lifeguard during his summers. He went to Eureka College in Illinois on an athletic scholarship. His major was economics as well as sociology. In college, he played football, ran track, and was captain of the swim team. He was on student council as president, as well as acted in a number of school productions. After he graduated, he was a sports announcer in Iowa. In 1937, Reagan began a career with the Warner Brothers movie studio. In the 3 years following that, he appeared in more than 50 films. In 1940, Ronald Reagan married Jane Wyman. She was an actress. With Jane, he had his daughter Maureen and adopted his son Michael. However, Ronald and Jane were divorced in 1940. When World War II broke out, Reagan was unable to do combat duty due to his bad eyesight. However, he was able to help the military by making army training films. When he left the military, he had achieved the rank of captain. In 1947, he was made president of the Screen Actor Guild. It was during this portion of his life that he met Nancy Davis. They first became acquainted with each other when she was mistakenly listed as a possible communist sympathizer on the Hollywood blacklist and came to Ronald for help. They got married in 1952 and had 2 children, Patricia and Ronald. As his movie career moved on and plateaued, his political views changed from liberal to being much more conservative. He became outspoken about having too many government regulations as well as wasteful spending. In 1964, Reagan became more involved in national politics. He made a speech for the presidential candidate Barry Goldwater. In 1966, he was elected governor of California, and then he got re-elected for a second term.
Reagan became president on January 20, 1981, and was known as the Reagan administration. Reagan's presidency was marked by an important event. Minutes after Reagan was inaugurated, 52 U.S. hostages were released from Iran. Only 69 days into the new administration, an assassination attempt was made on Reagan's life. Reagan and 3 other men were shot by assassin John Hinckley Jr. When Reagan left the hospital on April 11, he was the first serving U.S. president to survive being wounded in an assassination attempt. This only increased his popularity. Reagan believed God had spared his life so that he might fulfill a greater purpose. Domestically, the Reagan administration favored reducing government programs and introduced the largest across-the-board tax cuts. This was known as Reaganomics. In regards to foreign policy, the Reagan administration was steadfastly anti-communist. The Soviet Union was deemed an evil empire. Reagan started the massive buildup of the military, including the invasion of Grenada, the first major overseas action by U.S. troops since the Vietnam War. He promoted new technologies such as missile defense systems, later known as Star Wars. Reagan also had strong ties with UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, ties that lasted until he died. Reagan's presidency is known as the Age of Reagan. His administrations worked to the collapse of Soviet communism. In Reagan's second term, he had to deal with the Iran-Contra affair. On October 25, 1983, U.S. troops invaded Grenada to oust Marxists who had overthrown the government and to protect U.S. medical students on the Caribbean island. On May 9, 1984, in a televised speech, Reagan urged helping the Contra freedom fighters in Nicaragua. More events are significant to Reagan's presidency. On June 1985, TW Flight 847 from Athens was hijacked by terrorists. The pilot was forced to fly to Beirut, where hijackers beat and killed a Navy diver. The plane was flown to Algiers, then back to Beirut again. Most passengers were released, but 39 people were held captive in Lebanon. Reagan vowed that the U.S. would never give in to terrorist demands, and the remaining hostages were freed after 17 days. This remains to be an important and significant point in the Reagan administration. Reagan was also one of the most important people to contribute to the end of the Cold War. On June 12, 1987, in a speech at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate, Reagan demanded Gorbachev, "Tear down this wall!" When Reagan was succeeded by George H.W. Bush, he addressed the nation for the last time on television from the Oval Office. He was the oldest president to serve at age 77. Reagan died from pneumonia brought on by Alzheimer's disease at age 93. On June 11, a state funeral was conducted in the Washington National Cathedral and presided over by President George W. Bush. His grave is in Simi Valley, California. Reagan revived conservatism and faith in the presidency. He improved American self-confidence and contributed critically to ending the Cold War.